excited about. It's been 3 years since one of my students, when I was teaching kindergarten, she saved her apple seeds from lunch and she really wanted to plant them. So we put them in a pot in the classroom. And that summer I took them home and kept watering them and got a bigger pot. And then a year later I got a bigger pot, kept watering them, and finally we planted her apple tree out here. This is her apple tree. And so we're going to let it just grow, and we have a little sign down there that says Akila's apple tree. And so it'll be an interesting lesson for the kids, because what I understand is that the apples you buy at the grocery store always turn into crab apples and not the kind of apple that they were. So very good science lesson for kids. With the initiative of the student was what started the whole thing, which was really fun. So then other students have been wanting to save seeds from their lunches too, and I always encourage them to plant them in a little pot and take care of them and take them home and plant them if they want to, or sometimes we try to find a spot around here to try something. So this is our brush pile, and when we were cutting back some trees and taking care of some other things, that basically this is where our weeds go, because we don't want to compost our weeds since our compost probably doesn't get hot enough to kill the weed seeds. We decided to start a brush pile over here, and we're hoping that it will attract wildlife. So there's probably already small nests in there for things like rabbits. Other than we see a lot of rabbits around our school. So we're hoping that will attract wildlife and keep, different kinds of animals coming to the garden. So behind some of these weeds here, you might be able to see these cucumbers. And we use our chain link fence to grow things up. And this soil here actually was not good at all. It's basically rock underneath here. But I just threw some compost. We got some from the city. We made a big pile of compost, and we put in cucumbers, and then they can grow up the chain link fence. And most schools have some kind of fence around. So it's a good way to trellis things without having to spend extra money. Okay, so this is our digging bed. And when we designed the garden, we have 7 beds, and we decided to keep one that is always just for digging. But last year I had the brilliant idea that we should rotate that digging bed, because then it helps to get rid of the weeds that have been growing in the beds. So we used to have the digging bed at the other end, and this year it's at this end. But you can see, since the kids haven't been here for a week, things are starting to grow in it. And when they came back last August, the digging bed was completely filled with weeds. So it was interesting for them to see that what used to be just soil had turned into lots and lots of plants. So this was a place where we put some pumpkins 2 years ago. There was a rotted pumpkin from Halloween that we put out here, and you can still there's still pumpkin seeds growing there. And there's strawberries, some broccoli. This is our sweet potatoes that need to be weeded, and the regular potatoes are over here. One of our potato plants we just left there since last summer, and it started growing again, so we could see what it was going to look like before we planted the new ones. I usually leave the flowers on the vegetables after they've started to go to seed, because that shows the life cycle of the plant. So these in the very back are radishes, and it's the radish flower, because if children eat carrots or radishes, they don't understand where a seed could be coming from for that plant. So we leave the flowers on the radishes. This is lettuce that's got the seed. And then when they come back in the fall, they can see the seed heads, and we could even collect the seeds and plant those again. One of the things we like to do, and they didn't start till later this year, but we like to do peas. In the spring last year, we were able to harvest a lot of them before the kids left for summer. Here you can see it just started, but I have the kids come out and just pick them and eat them right off the plant. And a lot of them say, "Oh, but they need to be washed." And I say, "But the rain washed them." It's okay. So we just turned around and said, "Look, the broccoli needs to be picked." I just looked at it a few days ago, and it didn't look quite ready, but all of it is coming ready at the same time, so I'll need to pick that before I go home today. Well, as you can see, one of the problems is keeping control of the weeds. And And that's why I decided to do the rotation of the digging bed so the kids could help dig up those weeds, and we talk about the weeds as they dig them up. Last time I was out here with some kids digging, we were having a contest to see who could find the biggest roots. So like you can see, this one broke off before we could pull it out very far, but we've had kids pull out roots that were really long, and they like to make a game of it and see who can get the longest one, which is very helpful, because if those roots get pulled up, then we don't have so many weeds coming back again. So as you can see, there are a lot of weeds in our garden. I think most gardens have a lot of weeds unless they're that really intensive kind of garden. But we have a couple of different things that we do to kind of help with that. One of them is we have a parent gardening club. And so I've told the parents how to get into the gate of our garden when I'm not here. And they're free to come and pull weeds during the summer, and then take any produce that's growing, since no one else is here during the summer. They can help themselves to produce, and the families can come and hang out in the school garden during the summertime. And another thing that we're going to try this year is we're going to have each class adopt an area of the garden. So they'll be in charge of taking care of that area for that year, and perhaps, you know, year after year, which is what I would like, so that they really see what happens over time. And so that way, instead of me trying to weed all of these beds, each class will be in charge of weeding one. And also taking care of, like, if it needs water, if there's any problems, or if they notice anything, they can report back to the rest of the school. So those are a couple of things we're doing to kind of help deal with that issue of having a lot of weeds. And we also get a lot of volunteers through Gateway Green and through Annie, so that is a huge So when we planned the garden, we decided that we needed to have shelters, because as you can see, we don't have shade trees in this area. So we have two different shelters, one here, one on the other end, so that we can have at least two classes going at the same time without bothering each other. But also, I like to bring the kids out when it's raining, even if it's a heavy downpour. Run out here, we can sit under the shelter in the rain and just watch and see what happens in the rain. You can a lot of times see the birds trying to find worms, even in the middle of a downpour. So this is our robin nest. There's another nest up in the light fixture. And last year and this year we've had baby robins there, so the kids see that life cycle. And as I said, they can watch the robins going through, the parents go through the garden trying to find worms, especially after the kids have been digging. The robins will head right over there and try to find some worms. So if we're very quiet as we're walking back in or as we're walking out, the kids can actually see the robins taking the worms back to their nest. So these are our fruit trees, and thanks to Panita, she found a volunteer, I think the parents or something, came and helped me to prune the fruit trees, because I was afraid to cut them back since they're so little. So he came and showed us how to do it, and so I think they're going to be much healthier than they would have been. We have 2 pear trees, 2 peach trees, and 2 apple trees in the end. And he told us, as we were doing this, that we need to take off most of the fruit, so that when the tree is first growing, all of the energy goes into the roots and the branches and the leaves, instead of going into making the fruit. So you won't see very many fruit on there, but I always leave at least a couple so the kids can see it when they come back and see what the fruit looks like. And we had a great lesson with the apple tree earlier this spring when it was infested with aphids, and we noticed a lot of ladybugs coming to eat the aphids, so that was really fun to see. That's actually a really easy unit to teach, is about ladybugs and aphids, because if you can find the ladybugs and you see where they're feeding, it's usually covered with little aphids on the plant. Plume grass, I don't know exactly what it's called, but once it gets tall, it's like this tall. And so when the preschool students come out here and you walk them through it, they can literally get lost. They're so little. And it is a little bit sharp sometimes. They can get a little bit scratched up, but they love it. So we did going on a bear hunt, and you go through the, I'm trying to remember how the grass goes. Swishy swashy, I think, for the grass. So they go swishy swashy through the grass, and we do the whole bear hunt throughout the garden. We cross over the river, which is our dry stream bed. We climb up a tree. And so if you've got that book, that's a really fun thing to do with the kids. And even if your garden isn't exactly like, the book says, you can make it up and go along. Like we used our shed for the cave at the end of the story where they find the bear. But last year, we had a volunteer come in the fall, a group of volunteers, and one of the guys cut back all of our plume grass because it was all, it was either in the, no, actually it was in the spring of last year. Cut back the plume grass, and so there were these long pieces of grass, and they were all sitting over here just in a big pile. And the kids said, wow, that looks like a bird's nest. And so we actually shaped it around so that it gave it sides so that it would be a big bird's nest. And the kids would go in there and sit and pretend that there were birds in the bird's nest. It was so cool. This was designed to be a native prairie. So some of it is supposed to be here, some of it is weeds that have kind of crept in. It's not a true prairie, of course, because it would be much more diverse than this. But it's tall enough and there's enough going on that kids can wander through there and kind of get a feel for what a native Missouri prairie would have been like. So you won't be able to see this because it's a cloudy day, but that's a really good science lesson for children too. But, and most places, most gardens would not have the ability to do one of these that's in concrete and laid out this way. But I don't see why you couldn't do one just using your own resources, like even doing it on a sidewalk with paint. You would just have to make sure that it's lined up the right way. It's a sundial. And the way it works is that if the child stands on the mock, which is June, which is right up here, your shadow will fall on the number for what time it is. And they love it. So they take turns standing on it, and I say, what time is it? And they say 1 o'clock. And it's a really neat thing for them to see. So then we talk about what's making the shadow, why is the shadow in different places at different times of the day, what's happening with the sun and the earth that makes it move around and tell a different time for different times of the day. So this is really cool. Even if you can't have one that's ready-made like this, you can make something very similar, or you can even just get the little sundials. So this is our pumpkin patch, and I didn't realize it at the time we planted them, but it turned out to be a really great experiment because we have 3 hills. This is one hill, this is one over here, and then this is the 3rd one. And you can see there's a huge difference in the growth, and there's a graduation in how I guess that's the right word, how big the plants have grown based on where they're located. And when they started growing and you could really start to see the difference, I brought the kids out and I said, why do you think these are growing so much better than the ones over there? Because we planted them at the same time and they had the same amount of rain. What could account for that? And that day happened to be a sunny day, so it was perfect because they could see that these were growing in the shade and of this tree. And then these over here have a lot more sunlight. So even when you plant something and it doesn't turn out the way you expected, it can often be a good lesson.